everyone. Welcome
Hello,
back to
hello.
the Fellowship of the Binge. I'm your host, Prerna, along with my co host,
Prapti.
Prapti. Thank you so much for joining us again on this wild journey we are having, traveling through Traitors India, discussing it to death. We are here to discuss episodes 4 to 6 and how exciting have these episodes been. Things are truly heating up in the castle. uh, Based on some feedback from last time, we've made a few changes. This week, we are starting with a spoiler free review of this batch of episodes. So if you haven't caught up yet, you're safe for now, but catch up, please. And then once we give you the go ahead, we'll dive into a spoiler filled breakdown. So consider this your official warning when we get there. We've also added a new twist. Both of us have secretly picked five major highlights from these episodes. We haven't told each other what's on our list, so we'll be revealing them one by one live on this episode. If you happen to pick the same moment, we'll talk about it based on who ranked it higher. Plus, I think we'll wrap it with a fun little segment called What Would We Have Done Differently, where we put ourselves in the contestants' shoes. And of course, we'll make three bold predictions for what's coming next. I mean, that three could become two, could become five, but well, for now, let's keep it to three. So, yeah, let's get
Perfect.
into it. Here is our spoiler free takes on episode 4 to 6 of the Traitors India.
Cool. And in two words, it was not predictable.
Yes.
I was quite happy that my worries from before of it being a celebrity season,
Yeah.
none of the usual suspects that we thought would do well, they're not there. So it's quite interesting. It's seeming like the season of the unknowns, and I'm quite enjoying that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that. So I enjoy these episodes quite a bit. From what it's, I mean, I feel like it took many confusing directions, which is great. Great to watch, and a lot of drama. There was a lot of fighting and back and forth. I think strategically, perhaps this set suffered a little more than the first three episodes. I think the Innocent came out of the gates very strong and now seem to have meandered. But having said that, it's still really fun to watch them, and it's still
Yes.
really fun to watch the traders. And I cannot wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, the game is gaming now, which is
Yes.
so pleasant to
Yes.
watch as a faithful Traitors viewer,
Yeah.
where you're absolutely right. The innocents seem to be coming into their own theories and suspicions backed with logic, and then suddenly all
Yeah.
of it goes poof, and then it comes back, and then it goes poof. So I'm enjoying this seesaw, and I feel like we are warmed up for some serious intensity in the coming Thursday trio of episodes. So I'm quite excited to see
Yeah.
how the innocents have gathered their momentum and where this would lead.
Absolutely. I think I think my takeaways were so many that I feel like I watched them all together and then I felt very overwhelmed by them because I feel like it took a lot of strange directions during the three episodes, both on both sides. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, I think picking the highlights was a real problem for me because there were a lot of fun moments in this season. Honestly, I feel like they've gathered an interesting set of characters and watching them play has been really fun. I knew very few of these people before, but I feel like I'm going to remember them for some time. They are true characters, as you call them. So, so it's been great. So if you aren't watching, I strongly suggest that you watch this for just seeing, absolute. I mean, it's sort of the craziness of Big Boss, or people stuck in a house together, but with a great amount of more strategic play, I would say.
I'm really glad you brought that up because that is some of the feedback slash comments I have had from people I know who are a little
Right.
bit skeptical of watching this reality show that India now has. And they're like, oh, if it's just gonna be one of those cringe big boss, people shouting at each other kind of thing, I'm not interested. And that's exactly what we discussed in the last episode. And I want to reiterate today is that there is so much strategy and gameplay that it does not allow for the drama to take over, and I think that is the
Absolutely.
best part about the Traitors. So if you haven't watched it yet because you're afraid of the cringe, there is drama, I will not lie, but the strategy of the gameplay does not allow for the drama to win. So
Yeah.
it's all, in that context, which makes it a lot more exciting. And because there are things happening in the game at the beginning and the end of the episode, the drama is contained in between and it's contextually fitting, I would say.
Yeah.
So give it a watch and I'm sure you'll be addicted.
Yeah. And come back to us, once you've seen the episodes, because now we're going to segue into spoilers because we cannot talk about these episodes without spoiling them. So that was our spoiler free review, guys. So you're warned from here on end. We are going to spoil the shit out of this.
It's so hard to do spoiler free
Yeah.
overviews because there's so much
Yeah.
we want to talk about, and this time
I know.
Prerna and I did not watch the episodes together, and we have not discussed them even once, so this
At
is the
all.
most exciting part, and we're looking
That's
forward
true.
to.
We haven't even texted about them, which is crazy
Yes.
for us. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say because I have a lot to say. So I'm
Mhm.
sure you have equal amounts to say about everything that happened. So let's get into it right away. So what did you think? What did you think of where the game has gone? Let's talk specifics.
Yes. So when I said it's not predictable, it's the players that bombed. I really expected Karan to have a good game, Raftar to have a good game, Mahip to have a good game,
Oh my
Ashish
god.
somewhere, and they're all gone. And they're all gone on
Gone.
Circle of Shock. And that is something that is a very
Yes.
interesting observation. They have not been murdered. They
No.
have essentially just incriminated themselves, imploded on themselves, and
Oh my
just
god.
ousted themselves. So these are game
Yeah.
players with strategy and experience of doing reality shows that are just
Or being actors or whoever,
right.
having that level of influence.
I
It
truly thought
just,
at least one of them, if not more than one of them, would make it to the end. But special mention to Mahip. I am really sad to see her go because of just the aura she brings to reality TV.
yes.
Like my most favorite line I think ever is Sanuki, dude. I will
Sanuki,
never,
dude.
I will never forget that.
I know. Yeah, that's true. Mahif has she knows how to do the reality TV game well. I feel like she doesn't know how to play the Traitors game
Yep.
because she failed at spectacularly. I feel like she failed at it to such an extent that she's going to make fun of herself for the rest of her life, which is great. I mean, she is sporting that way, I would imagine,
Yeah.
but oh my goodness, her game was lacking, was just
100%.
she did. In fact, she had enough influence, I feel like, that if
Yes.
she managed to make some kind of arguments or make an effort to even like a 10-20% effort, she
Yeah.
would have stayed in this game.
100%.
Because she made no efforts to stay in the
She
game.
made one effort, and that was just disdain towards Janvi. That was her aim
Oh
in
my
life
god.
throughout the game,
She just, yeah,
and I didn't
once she
understand
found
it.
Janvi to hate, she just wouldn't let it go. And
She
then
just
every
wouldn't.
time Janvi would come up, her expressions, the camera would cut to her
You
and her
noticed that
expressions
as
are like,
well.
like
She showed up for
eye roll
breakfast.
and
Yes,
yes.
yes. We both noticed that one. It was
Yeah.
absolutely uncalled for
Yeah.
in the game. She never
Oh
had
my
any
goodness.
other suspicion on anybody else or said it out
Yeah.
loud, which
Yeah.
is so sad because I feel like Mahip content could have been so much fun if there was strategy in it.
I swear. So, we're gonna miss Mahip. Let's talk a little bit broader before we
Yes.
move into specifics of highlights and things. But I think, how do you feel the game has moved for you as a strategic game? Do you think it has scattered to an extent, or do you
Yes.
still think that there are still strategic gamers at play who are playing hard, including the
Both.
traitors? I am
Both.
including the traitors in this.
Yeah, I think both, because
Okay.
there's definitely spurts and bursts of very smart logic coming from different
Mm,
places, and it is just as quickly distracted or dismissed, which is so
it
surprising
is
because for a
so
moment you're
true.
holding on to it saying, oh my god, now is this the end of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
traitor? And then
yeah.
a few minutes later you're just like, wait,
They
hold on to
just get
that thought, don't get
distracted.
distracted.
Yeah,
And that is just a whole bunch of strategy in pieces everywhere.
yeah.
However, I don't think it's all lost because it just takes, that critical mass to come together for a reaction to just
Mm,
explode.
yeah,
And we saw glimpses of that.
yeah,
And throughout the three episodes, you're absolutely right. There was so much fragmentation of strategy
yeah. And
that,
people.
and people,
That is the problem.
Right.
They don't come together to form a strategy. They
Right.
have so many big boss like, arguments with each other, that
Factions,
they
yeah.
just, if they combine forces, they could come together to form a whole opinion. But they just don't come together, and it's baffling to me.
They do come together, which is the interesting thing is that there have been instances where a minimum of two. I think there was a Jannat Urfi moment.
Yeah.
There was a Jasmine Urfi moment
Yeah.
that they were totally onto Elnaz and I think Purav,
Yes.
but
And
they got
they
distracted
suspected
very
Purav.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very quickly distracted. I feel like there are these conversations that are happening, and I think this is a
Yeah.
great way for the build up for this dhamaka that's going to happen this Thursday. I feel in the trio of episodes that are going to come, because the seeds are all there, but because of
Yeah.
so many game players, I feel like it's become scattered and distracted. And now I feel like a lot of players are coming into the game, so that constant vacillation from end to end, which was essentially being done by a Raftaar, for example, right? Like he was just vacillating for no reason, which was also what Karan did, unfortunately. It's just so bad and it's so distracting. Johnny made an excellent point at the Circle of Shock कि आप innocents को ही distract कर रहे हो तो काम ही नहीं होगा, right? So that was a very interesting.
An eloquent point made by Janvi. I mean, who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk? But it was so sensible, and I think that sums up perfectly
Yes.
these three episodes that have just passed, where everyone's just doused in confusion. But I'm pretty hopeful to see a Mahayuddh of the resurgence of the innocents in the coming three episodes.
I think I'm less hopeful than you.
Interesting.
I I think that they are so distracted at this point. Our strong players, our Apoorva, our, like obviously Raftar is, I will talk about Raftar in great detail later. I feel like we should discuss him later, but I have many things to say about his gameplay. I mean, us are very strong players who are good at convincing people. They are very distracted, and I don't see them coming together again. I feel like, especially Apurva, has meandered to such an extent that I feel like she's losing herself, losing her strategic mind in all this nonsense.
Nonsense.
And I feel like all of this is going to help the traitors, not maybe both the traitors, but at least one of them, one to maybe whoever they recruit. So, I don't know. I'm less certain now. No, I like this batch of episodes, but it just left me a little uncertain about the next batch. A lot of it will rely on when they get the traitor out, because they will get a traitor out. I'm 100% sure. I have some theories about who they will get out, but we will talk about that right at the end. Um, the circle of shock is becoming my favorite part of this game.
Yes.
It is so unpredictable and so wild. Just every time they go to that circle of shock, it just gets wilder and wilder and shoutier and shoutier. So it was crazy. These 3 episodes, the circle of shock was absolutely mad.
The interesting part is that the unpredictability is now become predictable, which is essentially what
Mm.
Purav had said at the
Yes.
end of the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
episode,
Good
because
shout.
you saw that Maheep, Ashish, and Raftar have gone,
Yeah.
and we were pretty convinced that they won't be the ones going.
Yeah.
Yet, in that very obvious,
No, Mahip I knew would go. I
mundane
knew
way,
Mahip would go. But Mahip was bound to go. But I think it's just so thrown off by,
yeah,
getting
yeah,
innocent out, that
yeah.
they get confused, and I don't know. The current thing really
No,
threw them off, I think.
yeah, and I think like it was just sad that there isn't a defense. I am blown out of my mind that neither Raftar nor Ashish nor Karan nor Maheep could defend themselves that they are not traitors, that they are in fact innocents.
Yes.
How does that happen? I don't
I mean, Mahip
understand.
didn't try. At least Raftar tried a little bit. Um,
Raftar's trying was a whole other problem, which I know we will get into. But like Ashish, this was his second attempt and he still didn't try.
I know.
There were people who were almost trying for him.
Yeah.
Apurva did the
Ashish
heavy
did
lifting
try at
for
all.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He
what
was
I'm also
sleeping again, though. That
He
was
was
very
sleeping
funny.
again.
There was a very funny bit in the middle about him sleeping. I think Apurva was talking to Sufi about
Yeah.
it.
So how can you sleep through this? And that's a valid
He's
point.
very relaxed. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, but you know, one other thing that wasn't in my notes, but I just realized as we were talking, which is what happens often,
yeah.
is there is again a very rare thing that I see in
Hmm.
India traitors where
Okay.
innocents defend other innocents.
Yes,
They
that's
really stand up for
true.
other innocents, and on
Mm.
what basis, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that they're not necessarily standing up for their friends. Like if Purav is standing up for Raftar, I can understand because he wants to keep his ally in the game. But which he did stand up for
Yes,
Raftar.
yes,
But for Ashish sir, so many people standing up. Then he's not necessarily friends with these guys. Like he's not necessarily like in their age group or their gang or whatever it is. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a great observation.
yeah,
That's nice,
because
I guess.
Apurva stood up for Janvi and
Yeah.
Ashish. Apurva seems to have stood up for Raftar
Apurva does not like Janvi, but she still
yeah,
stood up for
she stood
Janvi,
up
which
for
is
her.
completely
Yeah,
bonkers.
right. And I don't understand how people vouch for the others that much. Like Jannat did that. I think she was vouching for Karan at some point. You know,
Hmm.
I don't. It's so I don't see the basis of that, because naturally an innocent has to suspect everyone, friend or foe, because that's the game.
Let's talk a little bit about the traitors and what they
Yes,
did in this.
yes,
It's interesting that we first talked so lengthily about the innocents because we don't
innocence.
normally, they're not the most interesting people, but this game has been wild. So, I'm happy for them. They give a lot
Yeah,
to talk about.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
that's what adds to the unpredictability of
yeah,
the game.
absolutely.
Maybe because it's season one and nobody really
Yeah,
knows what to do, so commotion's
yeah.
the name of the game.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so let's talk about the
Traitors.
Traitors for a bit. So, what did you
Hmm.
think of how their game has gone so far?
Um, Interesting, because at the end of the last episodes, they weren't getting along. They were severely not getting along,
Yeah.
to the point where suddenly things were happening which were at least in their favor, or let's say they were not detrimental to their game
Yeah.
momentarily.
Yeah.
So they kind of were like happy to be together. But there is like a very clear wedge
Oh,
that's driven between the two of them. They're not
absolutely.
working as a team, they're not
No.
playing as a team, and the
No.
Traitors task was a very clear example of that. I'm pretty sure we'll dive
Oh
into that.
my goodness. Yes.
Yes.
What was that? First of all, I was really tense through the whole thing. Every time they make a traitor do something in plain sight, I'm so tense when that happens.
Yes.
But I have some problems with the edit here, or with the player. Like, Elas did not bring this up in the turret at all, at least from what we saw. Like the
And
edit,
that's
or
not
if
cool.
she did, then they
Yeah.
edited it out, which also I have a problem with because that is wild. That
How
is
can you not
something.
address it? Yeah.
How can you not address it? Like, give me a line or two. How
Yeah.
can they go from like what he has done to her, which is literal abandonment, and made her
100%.
do this entire task, and he has the gall to say, I didn't know she could do this, and like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so surprised that she did this. I was sure that she wouldn't. I'm
He
like, you
decided मैं
didn't
नहीं
even
करूंगा,
try.
and didn't even
Yeah,
communicate it. Forget about not trying. If you
he
made up your
ran
mind,
away.
just say no. Tell her
He
no.
literally ran. He ran
And
away.
And for me,
Yeah.
very clear. I'm glad you said the same thing, because in my head, I don't like Purav now, and I like Elnaz. Like, it's making me
Elnaz.
root for Elnaz, and I'm like,
Yes.
come on, man, Purav.
Yes. I was
Come
rooting for
on.
Purav for
I
a
was rooting for
while.
Purav, and we've had this conversation about how we have
Yeah.
hopes for him based on what we've
Yes.
seen in the past.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
just
not
not
sure.
cool. It's not cool. I don't
No.
think it's
I
cool
think
at all.
that was not cool.
Yeah,
I don't think that was fair.
at
And I
all.
also don't think that, like, see, if I had played it like that, then what I would have done is that I would have given the other person more leeway in the tower. That, okay, you did this, so I'm sorry
Your
that
call.
I chickened out, but it's your call. You decide who to murder, you decide, or you
Your
decide who to recruit. Like, you need to find a way to
To
work
balance
with
it.
your fellow traitor. And I feel
One.
like Purab does not understand that at all. It's his way or the highway. I'm not saying that his theories are always wrong. His theories are not
He's
wrong.
spot on. Yeah.
He is really spot on, which is why I'm so on the fence about him, because he is
Yeah.
so spot on. Sometimes he understands where the game is. Like he understands what's happening, there.
The only thing he doesn't understand is that
Mm,
right now he needs to play as a team player, as a traitor, and there
yes.
will be a time when he needs to play for himself, and it's not
Yeah.
now. It's not yet.
No.
That's the only
It's
thing he
not
doesn't
yet.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is being very, I don't know,
One man army.
one man army and selfish about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that is not a good social game strategy. You
It's
have
just
to
not,
be
yeah, it's just
playing
not
the
cool.
social game in the traitor turret also. And I feel like people forget that, because people are just like, and we've seen this over and over. Like
We
we've
have.
seen, like, if you don't play the social game in the turret, it doesn't translate to a win, because the other people will kick you out. Whether or not this happens at this one, but I just feel like the social game should not be switched off, at all.
So
Like,
that's the thing about gameplay, right?
yeah,
There a game can be played in two very distinct ways.
yeah,
You have a set of rules, you play within the set of rules and with honor, but then there are just disruptors who are like,
yeah,
I don't care about the rules, I don't care about the honor, I'm just going to do this for, I'm just going to do this because I want to do
yeah,
this.
yeah,
And that throws essentially the entire dynamic of the game
yeah.
away, which is not entirely problematic, in especially
It's
like a
not.
show like Traitors.
Yeah,
However, like we've played a lot of strategy games together. We played Catan and a few, right? So
yeah.
when you're all playing to win versus someone's just playing because this move is gonna create
Playing to
drama,
disrupt. Yeah,
right? And this is Purab potentially playing to disrupt.
it is. But how far it takes him in the game, we shall see.
We shall see. It's not
We shall
necessarily a
see.
bad move because we'll find out.
So, would you want to talk about the failed recruitment now or later? Should we talk about it later?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to tell me what your highlights are. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, we can talk about it later.
Yeah. Should we segue into the
I
highlights
think
now?
I think that's a great segue into the highlights phase.
Yeah.
And ranked 5 out of 5.
Yeah, you
Last
go first.
on my
What's last
list,
on your list? Yeah.
yeah, last on my list is the failed recruitment of Nikita as a traitor.
Yeah.
Very
Let's talk about it.
surprising.
It's not on my list because I assumed that you would have it. So
Yeah.
I let's talk about it. Yeah.
I was like, we're watching Traitors. How can we not have it as a highlight? Which is why it's ranked
No,
this
no.
low.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because um, it was an interesting choice, not necessarily a bad choice, because it was easy to put her on the chopping block. But in the end,
Yeah.
her dialogue, which was, I'd like to catch a bluff rather than bluff myself,
Yeah.
was a little interesting. I was surprised.
Yeah.
One would want to become a traitor that early, a traitor recruit in that game because,
I thought so too. And then my husband and partner Rajesh, he put forth a point, and I kind of, I find it interesting, because he said that you and I, you and me come to it with you and I come to it with a certain bias, because we've seen so many of the games and we've seen how this pans out. So, for us, it is a stupid choice to turn down Traitors. But say if she's playing it as somebody who may not have watched the games, or may not have, or wanting to play to her strengths, if she says that it's easier for her to catch a bluff, maybe she made a decision for herself.
yeah,
I
it's
still
a,
think it was wrong. I
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm just putting forth a third perspective, that maybe we are too into the game to see.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I see his point also because
Yeah.
it does look like her strength because she is immediately clocking on Elan's. Unfortunately for
Yes.
her, no one is listening. No one is
No.
taking her seriously in the game.
Yeah.
So essentially, I think for her, it was a choice of the traders will probably throw me out, like throw me under the bus, or I'll
Yeah.
get murdered. Either way,
Yeah.
I might as well just play from a point where I'm playing to my
Yeah.
strengths, which is a fair thing as a personal
Yeah.
choice. But in that, I am not too sure because she is not getting her voice heard. I don't think she has gained
Yeah.
too much social capital within the home.
No, she came in late. I kind of feel bad for her because I feel like but then I don't know, like Apurva suddenly hates her, and I felt like that
Yeah,
was a very mean girl moment. So,
it was that, but it
um,
was fun. It was entertaining, I will
it
say.
was fun. But I have some notes on how Apurva treats people. But
Oh, lovely.
yeah, I mean, okay, we'll talk about it. But yeah, she doesn't have enough social
She doesn't
capital.
have
I think
social
she's
capital.
also guessing somebody wrong. Who's the first person on her list? It's not Elnaz,
I
it's
think she
somebody
said
else.
Anshula. I think she said Anshula. Yeah, and she brought
uh
it to the table, and she gave points also.
yes, she said
Yeah,
Anshula
yeah,
because she doesn't smile.
yeah. It was,
Which is
yeah,
very
and
odd.
people seem to, and Anshula seems to
She
have a
does
lot more social
smile.
capital.
I feel like she does smile. Have you not seen her smile?
I have, and she's chill. Like, I wouldn't
She
suspect her.
seems chill. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, maybe
my,
that's a good thing. She
yeah,
she is calm. They
she
do
is calm.
mention that
We have
she's
discussed
calm.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and the other thing I didn't like after Nikita denied the traitors was she was just a crybaby about it. When no
Hmm.
one was listening to her, she was just like all mopey about why is nobody listening to my opinion. Like, you've got to step up. It's a social game.
Why didn't she tell them that they had tried to recruit her?
She
It
said
might
that I
have,
might use it later, and I think in the preview they have
but
cut something about
yes,
her
she
sharing.
does
So
maybe share it.
it'll
But
be
I
very
feel like
interesting.
late is bad
Yeah,
because they
late
will
is
trust
bad.
you even less if
Less.
you
Yeah.
had shared it on the first night. And somebody else said that too, that if they recruited it, why would they not share it? They said it to her.
Sudhanshu said
They
it.
said
Yeah.
it to her, yeah, and she was like, maybe they want to keep it for
Yeah.
now, to observe
Yeah.
people or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sharing it later, I would trust you even less. I don't think that was a good move. I feel like if she had revealed it, she would have found some importance in the game. Maybe people would have listened to her.
Listen to her. I think so. That was her, I guess, a currency to social capital. But I think
Yeah,
we've given her more time than her due at this point.
yeah,
So
yeah,
let's go to your number
yeah.
five highlight.
So my number five is very different from yours and very general and fun. Is that Karan has arrived as a host. So I feel like I really enjoyed Karan in these episodes. I enjoyed his crazy, insane outfits. Did you see that yellow, that
Yeah.
the one with the devil horn jacket?
Yeah.
That was just so stupid looking. I loved it. It was like a chrome yellow. I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it was wild.
It was quite
So
fun.
that was one of my highlights. And there was a coat with like a diamond tears on it, where he like slowly clapped for the traitors, and i
Yeah.
was i was just I was there for it. I
Nice.
and he was also shouting at them and giving them encouragement during the task, which is nice to see him getting a little involved in what they're
That's right.
doing. I feel like so far he's been very kind of behind the scenes, and he's not been participating much in whatever shenanigans are going on. And we saw an interaction with the traitors where Purav got really scared of him, which is very
Yeah.
funny.
That was funny.
Imagine someone getting scared of Karan Johar, but he literally was like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Got dramatically scared of him, and we saw that interaction and him praising the traitor. So I feel like I'm enjoying. I feel like he's settled into his skin as host, and I'm enjoying him a little more. I enjoyed him a little more in this batch of episodes, and I
That's a
look
good
forward to
one.
seeing what insane shit he wears in the next few episodes. Let's give him like one of those rolling cape like things and a hat or something crazy. That should be fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's a
that's my
good one.
fifth.
That's an excellent one. At least we noticed him more this time.
Yes, definitely.
He was more memorable in these three
Yeah,
episodes for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure.
Number four for me is Apoorva giving gyan to Raftaar about how he should play. Raftaar is
Okay.
like, मैं रोना नहीं चाहता,
Yeah.
and she's like, तो उसका opposite तो.
Oh my God. So I have this line quoted because I was in a plane watching this episode. So give you all some context. I was in a plane watching all the three episodes, and I was on a long flight, and I was laughing like a loon. And then looking around to see if other people had noticed that I was laughing like a loon. And this was one of those lines that made me laugh a lot. I think she says, जस्ट बिकॉज तुम्हें रोना नहीं है, उसका ऑपोजिट करना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. Purva
It
is
was
just full, and she's literally shouting this at him, and I was
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
it was so, and it was true. Okay,
And it
so
was
I
perfect.
think
It was so poignant, and that's the beauty of it.
honestly,
She'll say the
yeah.
most factual realities of life to you, and
Oh,
it's hilarious.
it is hilarious. Her commentary, even though she is mean, and I feel like she's become meaner, is very funny. Like some of her lines are just class. Just
Yes.
about all of them, about Urfi, about Sufi. Urfi to matlab she was just, fully ready to stab her.
Yeah,
Say,
the tension at breakfast when
yeah.
they sat at opposite ends was
My God.
so ridiculous and unnecessary. And I really liked the
Unnecessary.
edit on that because
Yeah.
they showed the two of them not talking to each other and
Yeah.
then
And
zoomed
then,
in on Urfi's tattoo that said, "Who cares?"
oh my God, so smart. Yeah, that's
So
true.
they
I
did
didn't
that.
notice that one, but yeah, that's
And then
super funny.
Apoorva says, "मैं सब snakes पहन के आई हूँ." So there was snakes in her ears, and
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
so that was the little Urfi versus
Yeah.
Apoorva thing, which
Yeah.
is so unnecessary. I don't even know why.
I will get to this.
Yeah.
I think one of my highlights is a little bit about Apurva. So my number 4 pick is basically Elnaz and Purav turning on each other.
Hmm.
Um Quite Elnaz putting out Purav's name literally behind his back. He was standing right
Right
there.
there.
She's standing
Yes.
behind him. She's just talking about him
About him
right there.
there.
And I was just watching that, and I was like, I don't think this has ever happened. I've never seen this happen. That one traitor is pulling down another traitor behind, literally behind his back. So I just found that fascinating. Just obviously they're going to turn on each other. We all knew, we knew that they were going to turn on each other. But yeah, now they just do not like each other being in the
Yeah.
tower together. So yeah, they're just, I don't know where this goes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
What's your
number
next?
three.
What's number 3 for you?
This is also a circle of shock highlight. I feel like you said previously in the previous section, that the circle of shock is emerging as where
Yeah.
everything happens, right?
Yeah.
My highlight is how Sufi is becoming an MVP innocent at Circle of Shock.
Oh
He's
my
beginning
God.
to grow on me as an innocent because he is brilliant in articulating a question.
Mm.
He does it
Yes.
in perfect moderation. It is not
Yes.
accusatory, it is not demeaning, it is not mean.
No.
It is
No.
simply a question
Yeah.
with enough opportunity for the
Yeah.
next person to defend
Yeah.
themselves.
That's a
He has
great
done
one.
this
Yeah.
he has done this consistently, and I'm very
Agree.
impressed. He has
He was the
grown
one
on
who
me
started the questions at Circle of Shock in
in
this
the
game,
first Circle of
you know,
Shock,
and
and
he's
he
maintained it.
is so consistent as that person on the Circle of Shock. I feel
Yeah.
like if I was a traitor, I would want to murder him.
I do not know why they haven't, but yes.
They're too busy bickering
I
amongst each other. They're not
and
thinking.
murdering randos, but okay. Initially, I thought he came across as an innocent who was really wrong really loudly. He's just, you know, they keep them around because they spread confusion. But at this point, I feel like he sometimes hits the nail on the head, and he's coming a little close to where the traitors are, and he's starting to put those names in the mix right now. And there is some suspicion on Purav. There is some suspicion, obviously, on Enla. So there is a lot of suspicion. I if he can articulate that properly, he's quite
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah.
And he calls himself the most dangerous player, which I found super interesting. But yeah, that's a great point. Like the third,
Yeah.
Sufi
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah.
MVP.
And
Absolutely.
we were talking earlier in our overviews about how there's strategy that's fragmented and not enough people are
Yeah.
coming together. Sufi and Apurva actually make a very solid team. I was talking to you about how Apurva
Yes.
and Jasmine just need to talk,
Yeah.
but Urfi and
Yeah.
Jasmine seem to have talked.
Yeah.
Apurva and
So
Sufi
let's.
seem to
I
have.
think that flows into my third point. Let's talk directly about that. Is
Let's
the
go.
the rise and fall of Apurva's gameplay.
Let's
So you can continue with your point because it flows directly into my point.
Go for
So
it.
I feel like she has created, she's obviously a strong player. She can make alliances, but she also breaks them very quickly. And when Raftar and her made an alliance, I was really hopeful and I was like, yes,
This could be strong.
the two very strong people making a secret alliance, go for it. But that immediately, I mean, that didn't take long to break. And she has been doing that up and down thing this whole, like, this section of episodes. She has been very up and down, and I feel like she is letting her likes and dislikes of certain people get in the way of her strategic game, which I mentioned earlier. I mean, I genuinely think that, and I don't know, she will, this is not good for her overall game. Even I don't, unless she gets recruited as a traitor. But now there is suspicion on her as well. So, but as a faithful, as a innocent, I don't know how long she will stay in the game by alienating so many people, straight up,
Interesting. So I'm just saying that that's so hard to predict again because of the uncertainty, because they're
mm,
not playing your
no,
conventional way.
no,
There is
yeah,
so
they
much
aren't.
disruption that,
They're playing day by day, actually. They're
right,
not looking at the
exactly,
long game.
exactly. I
Yeah,
would have, like, you would imagine Sufi would be murdered very early. You would imagine an
yeah,
Apurva to be murdered, right? And they're not. So
they're
you
not.
never know. You never know which way this is gonna go.
If Apoorva gets close to the winner circle in whatever shape or form, like either as an innocent or a faithful, I will be very happy.
Yeah,
She is still very fun to watch. I'm not
she's
saying that, but
box
I just
office.
feel like the slightly sometimes bitchiness, sometimes like shoutiness at Urfi or whoever she's fighting with right now, with Mahip, or she's fighting with somebody. So
Yeah,
that
that's an
that
interesting point.
combativeness that has grown in her
Yeah,
is not going to serve her very well. That is
very
why her
interesting.
name has started to come up, because she has become more combative. It is a social game. I feel like people don't understand that it is a social game, and you have to be like, even as an innocent. Like,
Yeah,
if the
yeah,
innocents
yeah.
hate other innocents hate you, they will just kick you out, or they will be like Janvi, who's like a nothing
The other
burger.
extreme.
Oh my god, her game is so sad. But anyway, she should just kind of take a step back and observe like she does, because she
Yeah,
gets the names,
she gets
but
the
she
game.
forgets them because she's so involved in like feuding with somebody for the game and the gameplay.
Absolutely. And if that's your entire point about
Yeah,
Apurva, it gives me a brilliant segue to my number two, which
which is,
is it required to be its own highlight. The commotion and distraction at the Circle of Shock deserves its own category of mention.
yeah,
Because, like you said about Apurva, enough people have come up with the
yeah,
right names and theories.
my
They
god.
are just getting so unbelievably distracted.
Yeah,
And segueing from Apurva's point where she went on this tirade of जानवी जी आप मुझे बस परेशान करते हो मुझे बस ये कहना था.
that was so funny. I'm sorry, that was mean, but it was really funny.
It was brilliant
Yeah,
cinema. It was entertaining,
yeah,
but it was so unnecessary given the
so
context of the
unnecessary.
game. You're sitting in
Yeah,
the circle of shock. You have to make a decision, and Janvi was brilliant, in fact, at that circle of shock by putting one beautiful logic, which is you are misleading the innocents. She was
yeah,
referring to Raftar and his lackluster defense. That, pick a lane, man. What are you trying to say? Your
yeah,
strategy is to
seriously.
not say it out, and in
Yeah,
that, you are misleading the innocents and you're not doing your job as a team player
hmm.
to the innocents. And otherwise, you're just a really bad traitor, and he was neither of those. Like, it was just baffling. So, just the whole fact that there. And then there is the Urfi and Apurva shouting match. In this conversation, I have just realized that Apurva has been part of three distractions in potentially five distractions. The circle
Exactly
of
what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly. What is she
yeah,
doing?
yeah. So just the commotion at the circle of shock is the only thing keeping the innocents at bay, and I feel like at some point it's gonna stall and move, dial back,
Yeah.
because the traitors
So
are imploding
that,
on themselves.
yeah, that is my point number two also. Like, not
Yeah,
exactly this, but
go
leading
ahead.
up to it is the rise of Urfi in this game. just socially. While I'm not saying she's particularly very strategic, although she has brought up Purav's name, which is interesting. And now I don't know where this will go, because her own little friends have started to suspect her, because they think that she's keeping them alive. I just love how much importance people give to themselves in the game. But anyway,
Yeah.
but I just feel like Urfi winning that challenge where the four people on trial and her getting the most gold, and she kind of overwhelmingly won that,
Yes,
um, was really interesting to me.
I agree.
That is something that you don't often see through a screen, because these people spend hours together, right? They spend like entire days together. So you see a part of it, but you see an edited version. You see her being disruptive. You see her most like "अपनी नस काट लूंगी, मैं गंजा कर दूंगी," like
Where
her.
are these things coming from?
I don't understand any. All of them want to self harm, or I mean, I'm sorry, but this is not a joke. I mean, why do they want to talk about like? Yeah, I don't know why they want to say these awful things.
Hyperbolic.
So obviously Urfi leads that pack, but like she has a lot of social capital, and you have to give her credit for that. Like there is obviously a lot of time that people are spending with her, that they want to keep her in the game, and they're sure that she's innocent. They are sure, which fascinates me, because
Because why
somebody,
would
I
she
think
want
one
to
of the
go bald,
traitors was
right?
saying, no, I mean, you can say whatever, like she's dramatic, right? People are saying anything in this game, so I won't believe it. Like,
But you and I aren't playing
but
this game, Prerna. That's the point.
that's true. I would have said whatever I wanted to say, like to play this game. I wouldn't have said like nas kaat lungi and all that. That's horrible. But I mean, ganja kar lungi is fine. Okay, whatever. Who's gonna hold me to it? So yeah. So I can be as combative as anyone, but I don't know. I'm really surprised. I'm surprised that everybody thinks she's innocent. I think the traitors also think that everybody thinks that she's innocent. Purav says that in one of their tower
Yes.
meetings,
Yes.
and that really surprised me. And I am impressed by her emergence as a innocent, as a strong innocent so
Voice
far.
in the innocence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Obviously,
a
this can
yeah.
turn at any point. But so far, these episodes, it's been interesting to see.
I'm really glad you make that point because that is my number one highlight. Urfi's dream.
Oh,
Urfi's dream, which she doesn't tell everyone,
Urfi's dream!
the
I love
real
it.
dream.
Yes.
Urfi's dream was my number one highlight because she thought Mahip, Elnas और पूरव
Yeah,
ट्रेटर्स हैं. ये मेरे को
yeah,
सपने में आ गया. अब मैं
yeah,
इसका कोई लॉजिक नहीं दे सकती, ये मेरे फीलिंग में है.
yeah,
ये हुआ था बिगिनिंग ऑफ द एपिसोड में.
yeah,
3 पूरे एपिसोड आ गए, उसने अपने ही नॉनसेंस कमोशन डिस्ट्रैक्शन एंड ड्रामा में वो अपने ही ड्रीम के वो लोग भूल गई. Essentially,
yeah.
she's doing what Janvi has
She had
said at the round table.
two traitors in her
She had
dream.
2 traitors. She's got Mahip out. And she has it on a platter and she's just not
Yeah,
discussing it. She's like, I will not tell the real names to anybody because it's coming off of no base. It is just coming off
yeah,
of my gut feeling. And that's what she's sitting on. So her
yeah.
dream was my little gold
The
mine in
number one
this
highlight.
episode
Yeah,
because wow, क्या dream है. And
I
she
know.
said like a whole preamble about अगर मैं अपने टीम्स में है तो मैं अपने काम धंधा छोड़ के मैं बस यही करूंगी predictions करके बाबा बन जाऊंगी. And
Baba
I'm
ban
like,
jaunge. Amazing.
yeah,
I
they
was
just
like,
say
this.
whatever. Like you're right, the
Yeah,
hyperballs is just doled out. They don't realize
yeah,
which of those 1 pennies of wisdom actually come with
yeah.
serious weight, and if they pull through, they're onto something.
Oh my god. That's exactly what I'm saying. Urfi is going to be fun to watch as we
Yeah,
go forward.
yeah.
Um but my number one highlight is Raftar's self implosion and absolute sabotage of his own game, which he was playing super well. And then what happened? I was just watching it and I was just holding my head. I was just like, what are you doing, man? What is wrong with you?
It
Why?
was it was a prolonged death for 2 whole episodes. He just
I
prolonged his like he
Oh
got
my
so many
god.
opportunities to come clean. He woke up in the morning, went and apologized
Yeah.
to Sufi,
Yeah.
and yet it imploded.
Yeah, he apologized. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry." First of all, why did you blow up? And Apurva was absolutely right. Like, she had made an
Yes.
alliance with this guy, which I'm sure, I think she was relying on, because he's smart and he also is friends with one part of people and she's friends with another part. So it's a good, two team
Mix.
thing where they can
Yeah.
mix their, like, the alliances and figure out what's happening in the house, which
Information.
is why
Yeah.
he made that alliance. But then she just saw him implode, and that's
Oof.
what we discussed, right? That
So
line came up,
painful.
and I was just like, she is so right. What are you doing, man? Like, you said it, I didn't understand it at all. I was like, why? What is happening? Why is he like? Why is he first blaming this person, then that person, then Sufi, then like himself, and then
Yeah.
he's saying, "Tum jo karna hai kar lo. I don't give a damn." Like,
Yeah.
why is he destroying his entire social capital suddenly? And then next day when he comes and apologizes, and then he's absolutely not convincing at the circle of shark.
Yeah. He did
And
not
he's
defend
just,
himself at all. He was just
yeah,
tripping
he's
over his
just
own
shaking his
nonsense.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
only thing I will give him credit for is that great rap, while leaving. I mean,
Leaving.
everybody has been amazing at, like, while they're leaving, and
Yeah.
but his rap was fun.
Yeah. His
Um
rap was good. It was solid,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. I was
Yeah,
actually
but
really
I was
mad at
sad.
Raftar. I
Yeah,
was mad
same.
at Raftar.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I purposely didn't put him as a highlight for him and his implosion is because I'm so sad, man. I really thought you could
Yeah.
bring a game, and
Yes.
I had high hopes.
Yeah. You Has he played like this in rotis before?
He did lose, but not before really doing some smart strategic stuff.
Yeah. Which we could see it happening, right? We could see
Yeah,
him
like he has
being
the makings of doing some
strategic.
smart stuff.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
brought
yeah,
some strategic chops to the game, and I was excited to see it play out.
yeah.
And it just didn't, and I'm really sad. Um and yeah, I'm sad that Apurva and Raftar did not make a long standing, could not
It would
could
have been a
not
strong
have.
partnership. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. They would have run the game. um
Nice.
but I don't know. This
Okay,
is what I'm
so
saying.
what could have been?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah. What was
segue
your
into
what
our
could
what
have
could
been?
have
Yeah.
been. I'm really glad we were talking about Raftar because I would have put Raftar on trial instead of Urfi.
Hmm.
I thought
Hmm.
Urfi was a complete waste because they were anyway going to save her, and that didn't stir up anything. It
Yeah.
didn't stir up any shit. Like from the point of view of the
No.
traitors, it changed nothing for them
No.
towards their benefit. Throwing
Yeah.
Raftar into that mix would have immediately stirred stuff up. I
Yeah.
think the hopeful in me is almost like that time Raftar would have been pushed to the wall to then do something about it. Like either you're going to be murdered or go into the
Yeah.
circle, so get
It's a
into
great point.
action.
Yeah.
I don't know. But my
Yeah.
immediate thought was Urfi was a waste to put on trial. I also
Yeah.
thought Janvi was a waste to put on trial. I would definitely have put Raftar.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of putting somebody like a Jannat just out
Yeah.
of,
Like someone like
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
innocent,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of,
yeah. A Jannat or a Jasmine in that
Jasmine.
would
Yeah.
have been
Jasmine would have been a better one,
better
because there's
on
some
trial.
slight suspicion on her, but
Yeah,
hasn't really
yeah.
been brought up in a couple of
Right.
days.
Like
So,
even Apoorva would not have been so bad to be put on trial, so that
hmm.
she gets out of her own head कि यार मैं तो murder भी नहीं हो रही मैं traitor hunter हूँ. I am indispensable because I think what you talked about her attitude in the game, while she's
Yeah.
very entertaining, I think she's a little bit full of herself since she banished
Yeah.
Raj.
Yeah.
And since then, she hasn't come back down to earth. Putting her on trial would have been a good play from the traitors to tone down her
That's a great point. Actually, I didn't think
jerk.
of her on
Yeah,
trial, but yeah, that
yeah,
would have
yeah.
been
Because the whole
good.
point of a trial is to spook people that I can murder you tonight. I don't
Yes.
think they used the
Yeah.
opportunity well enough.
No, I didn't
Janvi
think at all.
couldn't be bothered by spooking.
Yeah.
Harsh is so like he was spooked, but he was in
Yeah.
that space where I don't think it's me.
Harsh was okay. I was okay with Harsh being one of the
Urfi, yeah,
choices. But
exactly.
the other two, Anshula
Just didn't.
and
Yeah, yeah,
Urfi, made no sense. Why
right.
put Urfi on trial? It makes no
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. They're not
Um,
scaring these people.
No, and Anshula, I think, knows the game really. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that is, so that's my point of what I would have done differently. I would have recruited her
that is
because
my second point of change. So I'm
yes,
so glad we think the same thing. That is my second
yes,
point. Excellent.
yeah. I have only one, and I would have recruited her because she knows the game. She
Yes.
knows how the other games are played. She knows the rules. She might have known the permutations and combinations better than these two
Yeah.
do, and she still has suspicion on her. So if Elnas wanted to recruit somebody to serve on a platter, she could have served her.
You
It
are
was a perfect
100% agreed,
yeah,
because I thought, when it played out, Elnaz would be like, "You didn't do the task. I've done the task.
yeah,
Now I get to
yeah,
pick. My pick is Anshula, and you get to keep quiet because you ran away. So you
yeah,
keep quiet. You
yeah.
shush. I get to
She
pick.
needs to
I
be
recruit."
much more.
She needs to
Uh,
assert with Pura.
so
And
yeah, she
I
does.
truly thought she would do that. And because she and Anshula get along to some
Yeah,
extent and they're allies, it would have been convenient for her
yeah,
to team up with Anshula, get Purav out of the game,
yeah.
or if Anshula was the suspicious one, put her on a
Get
platter. Either way,
get
it
her
was a
on.
win for Elnaz. And I
Yeah,
can't believe we're so biased at this point that we're rooting for her and thinking for the best moves for her naturally.
yeah.
Because I don't think it would
I'm
have been
not
good for Purav.
entirely rooting for her, to be very honest with you. I am rooting for her. I and definitely what Purav did was shady. But I just feel like she needs to be more assertive. Like she's not
Yeah.
somebody, and she's not always got a handle on the game. So I'm not saying I'm entirely rooting for her. I mean I would like her to stay safe and maybe go through the entire thing,
Yeah.
but it's not like one of those, oh my god, like if she goes away then what is this game going to become? Because
Right.
I don't know, I feel like she flip-flops for me. But in
Interesting.
this
Yeah,
case, like in this case, this was a slam dunk for her, and I
it
just
was.
cannot believe she did not
She
play
did
that
not
card, that I did
capitalize.
this bloody thing and you ditched me, you literally ran away, so I get to choose. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Like
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
it like that, and and then recruited Anshula, and Anshula would have said yes, because I
Anshula
feel
would
like
definitely
she
say
likes
yes.
the game
Anshula
and
would
she
not
would
say
have
no.
wanted to play as a traitor.
100% agreed. She would not have
Yeah,
said no. Yeah. Predicting whether someone would have said yes or no,
yeah,
let's go
yeah.
into our predictions for the week, for the coming upcoming episodes on Thursday. Man, I can't wait for that task where the matkas are pouring and they're on that whole
That still
thing.
hasn't happened.
It still hasn't happened, and this time there's that those chess pieces ones, but this time it's arranged
Yeah,
like an L. So it'll be fun to see. They've already
yeah,
done. So I don't know what the questions will be because they've already done the. We asked who's the most reliable, who's the weakest player, who's
yeah.
most likely to be a traitor, kind of thing. So it'll be fun to see how that chessboard game plays out.
That should be fun.
It's new.
Yeah, that's new. The even the like, to bring it back to what already happened, but I'm impressed by the games a little bit on this season. They played
Let's
that very
go.
social game, which is you just sit in and you decide whether the other group is going to say, like, press the red button or not. And I
Yeah.
just felt like that was great. Like that was a good social game. It had a lot to, lot of, it had some implications on the
Yeah.
game itself. And also, like, even the later game with the scarecrow, I mean, that had very strong implications on the game with the
Implications.
Sufi Raftar thing. Like Sufi picking himself and that
Yes.
being the correct answer, and Raftar picking, himself, and then
Yes.
Sufi saying that that is ridiculous. And you would have thought that you are the traitor. Like
Traitor.
you are the
Yeah.
traitor because you think
You
you're
picked
playing
yourself.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean that had great implications on the game, which I
I
like. Like,
wonder. I
bring
wonder
me
if the
tasks.
traitors. Yeah, but I wonder if the traitors did it being so smart or
But they
just
did.
genuinely
But
think.
they did say that. Remember, they said, like, there was a PTC where I think Elna said it. I'm not sure if Elna would have said it, but one of them said it, that
Okay,
Sufi is the right answer, but we've put
we'll
Raftar
put
just to
Raftar.
throw suspicion on him.
Nice.
Did well done them. One of
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. That will
well done.
be. Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So
I
yeah,
think my
predictions
predictions are, I think that Elnaz is gonna go next. Maybe not in the next episode, but the next after that.
in this trio of
Once they turn
episodes.
on once they turn on each other, I think Purav has stronger social capital than she does. Although she is deploying tears, as we can see, so who knows? And people clearly think that she doesn't know anything about the game, and like she goes, huh, for stuff, and they're
But
like,
people are
oh,
clocking
she's,
it. Everyone is clocking
yeah,
it.
everyone is
There
clocking
were
it.
so many people who clocked
Yeah,
it this episode or in this
yeah,
trio
yeah.
episodes.
That we don't think she's so stupid. We think
Yeah.
she's quite smart, and all
So,
this is an act. But they're
yeah.
clocking it quietly. So if they bring their, and they're clearly bringing the feud out in public.
Yeah.
So they bring their
Which
feud
is
out in
stupid. It should
public,
be the
then
exact opposite.
yeah, then I think she will go, and probably Purav will go soon after. Like, it's not like people haven't brought up his name. So if he
Hmm.
starts to get combative, because he's not been very, I will put this name first and I will lead the charge at the round table kind of
Hmm.
person. So if he suddenly
Exactly.
goes after El Naz, there will be consequences, because these
That
guys are smart and they will clock it.
they will clock it.
So I suspect that she will go. I think that Harsh might be recruited if he doesn't go this time. I don't think that Purav will get Harsh out in the trial. Seems unlikely, because this
Yeah.
is one ally left. Raftar is gone. So
But
so I
it
think
could be
they
a
will
good
choose
move
to kick
on
out
his.
Chanvi or Anshula.
Yeah. Very interesting what you said because I have almost the similar predictions. I have written with Anshula, something's got to give. Either
Yeah.
they'll murder her or they'll recruit
Yeah.
her. And
Yeah.
with Harsh, it's the same thing. They will either
Yeah.
murder or recruit. It's becoming pretty clear. And then because you already talked about both of these, and I completely agree to your
Yeah.
points, I want to add that this little clique of Urfi, Jasmine, Jannat, and Apoorva.
Yeah.
While
Yeah.
Urfi and Apoorva are not speaking,
Yeah.
essentially that is the clique. Where at some
Hmm.
point Jannat says, हमने पैक्ट बनाया है इस पैक्ट का कोई मीनिंग भी तो होना चाहिए राइट नहीं तो सब कोई
Yes.
वोट कर रहे इट इज अ
Yeah.
फनी little
She does.
moment
Yeah.
that she had but I see sense in that pack coming together, having the
Yeah.
highest probability of being successful at
Hmm.
this point, and with Sudhanshu from here and maybe a Sufi from there being
Yeah.
pulled in, suddenly it will
Yeah.
be critical mass.
Yeah.
So essentially, the long and short of this is if Urfi and Apurva stopped feuding, this strong unit would now have
Yeah.
four people plus almost two on the periphery, and they're good to
Yeah.
go.
That's true. Yeah,
So
but will they stop feuding is the question, and I doubt it.
I don't think
It's
they will
waste of
stop
point.
feuding. No, I don't think they will stop feuding. But I feel like out of these four, even if
Hmm.
two stay and one gets murdered,
Yeah.
they're kind of going to tip it in the favor of the innocents.
Yeah.
And I feel like out of these four, a minimum of two and a maximum of three are going to tip the game in the favor of the innocents, is my prediction.
Oh, mine is opposite. That's really fun.
Hmm.
Okay, so you think that the innocents will win the game at this point?
I mean, that's what just came through because I had been rooting for Elnas, but yes, I think the innocents will
That is my third and
win.
last prediction, that traitors will win the game.
Great, I love it.
I love it. We are on
this
opposite
is
sides. I love it.
this is super
It's not
fun.
like I'm specifically rooting for them. I'm
Yeah,
not. I just think that the way we started, it's actually a great bookend, but where we started, where we discussed how these guys are getting distracted by their personal feuds and their whatever nonsense
yeah,
things that they're talking about, I feel like that'll steer them clear of, like, if Purav plays his game well, I don't think it'll be Elnas. But if Purav or whoever Purav recruits, like say if he recruits Harsh or someone,
yeah.
if they play their game well, and I feel like Harsh has played his game well enough
Very well.
as an innocent, that he would
Yes,
make a great traitor and
I
he
agree.
could take the game at the end,
I
because
agree.
I genuinely think that he is smart enough that
Yes,
he will still talk, he will still make his opinions heard, and Purav has enough suspicion on him that once they turn on each other, like we said,
yeah.
he will go out. So if Harsh is the last one standing, then Harsh will likely win the game, or
I
whoever they
agree with
recruit
you.
will likely win the game.
I agree with you, but I still think the
That
innocents will
the
win.
innocents are stronger.
Yeah, but I have a question for you. If you could choose, if you were a traitor, and you
Yeah.
could recruit between Harsh and Anshula, recruit one.
If I was a traitor alone,
Say you were a traitor with Purav.
if I was a traitor with Purav, then definitely Anshula. I don't want the boys' gang to gang up against me. No, thank you, because
But in
that's
a
gonna happen. They're
regular,
gonna kick me out.
yeah. And in
Um,
a regular traitors game, just
in
like,
a regular traders game, say if I'm by myself, then I feel like I would trust Anshula more.
so for me, my answer would be the same in the first one. But in a regular traitors game, if I was by myself, then I would probably pick Harsh to
Okay, because Harsh is more. You can
co-traitor
point more
strategic.
things. You can point more fingers at him and
I
kick
would
him,
team
throw him
up.
under the bus
I would
at
just
the
team
end.
up and go to the end, and then yeah, figure it out.
I have not seen two traitors win.
No,
Have
kicking
you?
out, kick him out at the end of the game. Two traitors don't win.
There's no rule that says that. It says there is if there is even
A
a
traitor
single
winning,
traitor standing, then the traitor will take it all.
yeah,
So even a single doesn't mean there can't be two. There can be two.
fair.
It's
But
just
I don't
that
think
so
I've
far
seen
I have
one
not
with
seen a
two
game.
traitors.
I have not seen a game where two traitors have won. Um,
Traitors will get selfish, no,
Guys,
towards the end.
if you know of a game where two traitors have won, please write in the comments below,
But
and
that'll
we
be a
will immediately
spoiler.
watch it. We will watch it. I will watch it to see
Yeah,
how two traitors win this game. Or if you think that we are wrong and two traitors can't win the game, also comment below. But yeah, that's where we are. I think this was a great review of this game so far.
super
um
fun.
yeah, super fun. It's been a fun experience. I'm very pleased so far with the Indian Traitors. I want more people to watch it, so there are more seasons.
100%.
Why are people
Yes.
not watching it and talking about it? Please watch this game. Unlike Bollywood Wives, this has actually got plot and it's fun, and so much drama. So watch it.
But the drama with more strategy. The strategy overtakes the drama in the game. So it's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
and
It's
sometimes the drama
constantly
overtakes the
keeping,
strategy.
but it keeps you on your toes and your
But it does.
tenterhooks, and it's
Absolutely.
unpredictable, which is what
Yeah.
makes it super enjoyable.
It's a great game, guys. If you haven't checked it
And
out,
another shout
watch
out
it.
to the casting and the production because it's
Yeah,
only getting better as we go
yeah.
forward.
And Karan's outfits.
It's awesome.
Yeah, please wear more jackets with more things on them, Karan. We live for it.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you
So
guys
thank you
for
and looking
joining
forward
us.
to Thursday's episode. See you in
Yeah.
a couple of days' time.
Yes, and please like and share and subscribe to the channel and comment on, whether you agree with our predictions or not. And yeah, whether you agree with our highlights or not. If you think of something, we would love to know. All
Share
right.
your crazy predictions with us in the comments, stuff that we haven't thought
Yes,
of.
please, please. We
All
we
right.
live for it. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good week.
Have a good week, guys.